Yes, I am. Okay.
Hey,
It was
sorry,
giving
I had
me,
an audio issue there for a minute.
I noticed I was just waiting. I was waiting and just waiting for it to go on because you never know with these newfangled technologies how whether or
Yeah.
not they work. So, are you
Uh,
calling from Houston?
I'm calling from Houston. Where are you, New York?
I am. I'm currently in Harlem right now, just chilling over by the Hudson River. So
Nice.
that's not much I can complain about. Are you by that famous high school where all those famous musicians went to in Houston?
Heights High School? Yeah.
uh, I think so. I think so. Or am I thinking of Dallas? I don't know. There was one where it's like Beyonce went there and like a bunch of other people who are in the music industry ended up going there. And I'm convinced that they somehow the Universal Music Group spiked the water around that high school.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is, but yeah, Houston is vast. It's very spread out, and there's lots of little pockets. I'm in the Heights, so I'm down. I'm like close to downtown. We
Okay.
call it we call it inside the loop.
Oh, I'm from Chicago, and we have our own little loop that we like to complain about.
Yeah.
It's a spot where you can count on finding an $8 cup of coffee,
Yeah.
where you could just go like 15 minutes north to Boys Town and get something much cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so I understand that you are part of a duo. I assume your partner is trapped away in a dungeon studio.
Yeah. People ask a lot of the times, like, if he's really real. He is real. He's a human, I promise. But yeah, you'll never see him or hear from him or anything. He's very, very shy.
That's all right. It's I've never conducted an interview with someone who tries to maintain anonymity. It's a lot like interviewing someone with a VPN subscription.
Yes.
Which brings
Yeah,
us to the
it's
sponsor of today's interview, which is WordVP. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, exactly. No, it's weird, man. It's like it's super difficult because he's so used to being like completely underground, under the radar, no social media, like none of that stuff. But it's difficult when you get into a project or something that and I know you wanted to touch on this a little bit, like the marketing and the promotion of it.
Mhm.
Um, one of us has to get out there, and it's bizarre that it's the one with like debilitating anxiety that is the one
We
that has
always
to
somehow
speak
end
to
up,
people.
it's always us.
Yeah, like he's funny and like smart, and I don't know, here I am out here like in it, but hey, that's how it turned out.
Yeah, yeah. What are some precautions that you take in order to be that? I mean, if I may share a detail with
Sure.
the audience, that you had suggested, if you wanted to publish this video, I could just wear a big pair of glasses or something to hide behind.
Yeah, so the yeah, I mean, my reasons behind trying to stay under the radar are a little bit different. I mean, I just I don't want it to become about that, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't want to talk about like what I look like or what I do for a living, or like, you know what I mean? Like I don't really want all of that to be the story. Like
Mhm. Right.
I feel like I can be more authentic and more genuine and have genuine relationships with our friends online that are into our music. Like I can talk to them about music, and our conversations are a little more intellectual because I'm not posting like 100 selfies a day. It's not about that.
Right.
So um yeah, I mean, it's a weird fine line, right? I mean, i just I just feel like I can be more authentic with this project if it's not about me.
Right. Do you also think that it could be an asset as a way to drum up a lot of hype and mystique around the Victorian Death Photos project?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question, and I think that's probably fair to say that, but it's not the intention, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's more about, as you were talking about, just not making it about the artist. It's more about the art that is created.
Yeah, I think so. I like that with other artists. Like, for example, there's this producer in Germany, and I know nothing about this person. I don't know if it's a male, female. I don't know anything. But we talk a lot about music, and there's a project that they're working on that I really like. That they're sending tracks to me, and I might throw some vocals on it. We'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
It was more like me hearing the track and be like, that's amazing. I need to can I throw vocals on that? But you know, and I appreciate that. I like that our conversation is centered around art and music, and that's it. You know what I mean?
There's the saying I'm sure you've heard in the music industry about it's more about who you know than what you know. But
Mm.
yeah, it's very interesting that you are taking the absolute opposite direction of being like, I have no idea who this person is, but what I know is that they make gas, and I'm just gonna
Yeah,
get right on it. Do you think that that's
yeah,
you think that's definitely more your MO, your style?
for sure, absolutely for sure. And that's throughout like that's a common thread throughout everything that I do in life, right? Like it's all about where where's the art at, right? Like where are the creatives, where are the people that we can bounce off of each other and you know make really cool shit. Can I say shit? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is internet radio. I mean, the FCC fell asleep at the wheel about 40 years ago when it came to litigating this.
Excellent.
But so you obviously prize your anonymity in kind of making it about the music, but how much of your own personal experiences are making their way into the music that Victorian Death Photos is putting out?
What's interesting to me about that question is I it's more authentic because of the anonymity, because I don't feel like I have to people please, right?
Right.
I don't feel like I can't say something because it'll trigger my mom, right? I don't have to censor or withhold any of the lyrics that I write. They're all very genuine heart. It's my whole heart, right? Like um the track Home, which I think is the one
That was the
that
one.
you found me with, right?
Mm-hmm.
That track is about the to me it's interesting, like other people relate to it in different ways, and that's cool, but to me, when I was writing it, it's about the death of my dad.
Mm.
How I that complicated relationship that I had, and like and it's odd when you're dealing with somebody that has mental health issues and addiction issues, and then they just die on you, right? And
Yeah.
it's like that processing all of that, right, just becomes this really bizarre world. And that's what that song is about. I mean, and that's something that I would filter, right? If I knew my mom was listening to it, or like you know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I would probably rein that in. And so it's not fair to the project for me to add those filters. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that, and that's also something I think that's tricky as the profile of Victorian Death Photos grows. Do you think that it will be harder and harder to maintain that anonymity? I guess the question I have is, ever will there ever intentionally or accidentally be a revelation of identity with this project?
Um, the revelation would occur when we can't. not do a live show. Double
Mhm.
negative. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. I
um,
at a certain point, I mean, you could try and Daft Punk your way out of it, but even then,
yeah.
like we know who
Even then,
those
like, it's kind of like it boils down to, for me, like, people are like, oh, well, why don't you just have like a fake name, or like make up a name, or and that feels fake. Like, what I want with this project is authenticity. I don't want to be like, my name's Jennifer. You know
guys.
what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
And
Be
so,
like,
like,
hello, I am Josh,
yes,
obviously.
yeah, and then, if we do like stage performances, we've talked about it, and it's sort of like, do I wear a mask? Like, that feels just like, that doesn't feel right either. And
You'd probably be following COVID regulations that way.
yeah, yes. So that's when a revelation will happen. So far we haven't hit that. We came out like right when COVID happened is really when we started. We were like laying around on the floor, like, we're bored and broke, and I don't
Yeah.
know, like, what do we do? And we had Ableton, and we're like, let's make some music. We're used to painting and doing art together and other forms of art, but we just decided to fuck around and make some music. But luckily for us, kind of in a weird way, shows weren't happening. So
Mhm.
there wasn't this high demand for, like, oh, you're a musician, you need to be doing shows, do this show or whatever. So we were really able to, like, have that space to just focus on writing and recording and doing those things. But as you know at some point, we're gonna probably have to have a serious conversation about a show.
Yeah. Yeah, but building on that, could you talk to me a little bit more about kind of the creative process that you went through? I mean, obviously you both come from creative backgrounds,
Yeah.
and this seems like a spontaneous project. But how'd you end up like creating this weird, dark synth pop sound?
Yeah, it happened by accident, really. We both have a lot of influences. I made a playlist on Spotify. If you go to, like, our artist page, it's called Little Black Book, and it's like all the influences, and it ranges. I mean, it is a bizarre listen. Like, if you throw it on, like, shuffle, you're in for something really weird. But we really, like, in the core of who we both really are, it's like, we're metalheads,
Hmm.
you know. And so we thought, when we started, we were like, well, if we do music together, it's gonna be metal, you
Yeah.
know. And because of COVID, it wasn't easy to, like, jump in a studio and get a band together, blah blah blah. We really had to do everything from our house, right? And so it's sort of like, okay, we have a Prophet 6. It's like, we're like collecting what we have at our disposal. Like, we have Ableton, we have a Prophet 6, we have a couple guitars. I don't know, let's try to, like, figure it out. And the sound just came out like that.
Hmm. Do you think that there's a phrase that creativity thrives within constraints, and that sounds a lot like your story?
Yeah.
Do you think that ever, when God forbid this pandemic finally ends, or God allows this pandemic to finally end, do you think that the access to more of those resources will change the direction of the band's sound?
Yes, I think it will. And it's a little bit scary to think about that. I mean, even writing, like, we were writing, we have a new single coming out called The Crown. And I wrote the lyrics for that track months ago. And he finally finished up, like, pretty much like the music bed in the way that, like, it's easy to work with. And so I started doing, I laid all the tracks down, and we're already, I think, getting to the point where we're like, we're overthinking things now, which is a new thing for us. Like, when we first started, we're like, whatever, blah, and we put it down. And now we're like, I don't know, should we do it this other way? And then so I'll do the chorus in like, four different, different melodies. And we're like, I don't know, which one do we like better? And so with the opening up of more resources, will we like drown ourselves in overthinking? And like overproducing and like doing, I don't know. It's so scary. I'm scared.
That's certainly like a scary thing to think about. But
Yeah.
it sounds like that the core of your guys' partnership is spontaneity. And yeah, just tell me a little bit more about how that spontaneity informs the music that you create.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. That's how we started. And that's, that's, for him, it's a little bit different. He has to spend a lot more time putting music together. Like I'll lay on the piano and like, come up with a chord progression. I'm like, I love this. And I'll throw it at him and he's like, great. And you like, maybe do that. But for the most part, he does all of the music and I do the lyrics and the vocals, and the vocal arrangements. And that's pretty much like the working dynamic that we have. Every now and then we'll bleed into each other's sandboxes, but usually we're pretty separate,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in terms of spontaneity, I may drive that more than he does. I'm like, I'm like, that sounds great, we should go with it. And he's like, let's think about it.
I mean, that's also like kind of the producer mindset of like, I gotta tweak the EQ on this snare.
Yeah, yes. And I'm like, sounds good to me.
Since he's not in the interview, he can sound like however I want him to sound.
Yes. It's a British accent, maybe.
A British accent. Oh, right. I do want to ask about, we've had conversations about anonymity and spontaneity and identity throughout this. I have to close on this. How'd you come to the name?
Oh, that's a good one. I insisted. Basically, have you ever Googled Victorian Death Photos? Like, have you ever just Googled it?
No, I've never.
Do you
Not until I started looking you guys up.
Have you image searched it?
No, should I?
Yes, dude.
Okay. Just give me 1 second here. I click away. Yeah, I can't Okay, I'll go over on my phone.
I can like talk you through it. Basically, what it is back in the day, if you had a family member pass away or a child that passes away, right? It was common practice to dress the corpses up, right? Mm-hmm. And prop them up and take a family photo.
Oh. For all my listeners out there, I would like you to say none of these are very gruesome, but they are certainly frightening.
Isn't that bizarre?
Oh my God. I'm seeing this one from the BBC News, and it's these 4 children who all look like Vladimir Putin, and they all are just stone-faced at... Jeez. Okay, so now that you've given me my nightmare fuel for the next 5 years, so okay. What?
So I thought that is the weirdest thing. I love it. Like I think we should call our band name that. Keep in mind that like it is not a good idea for SEO purposes because we are now competing with like the real Victorian Death Photos, right? Yeah. Which is kind of a bummer now that I think about it. But at the time, we were talking about band names, and I thought it was great and kind of funny and just weird and cool. And he was like, I don't know. He's like, I think we should be called, and he's gonna kill me for saying this and laughing about it, but he wanted to be called Summers in Portland. And I was like, dude, are we gonna like grab acoustic guitars and like go have a picnic? Like, no.
Yeah, that I will say that between those two choices, I would say that Victorian Death Photos is more fitting of your brand.
I think so. I think so. So yeah, I put my foot down and I was like, nah, it's gonna be this. And he was like, okay, whatever.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just go back to my Prophet 6. All right.
Yeah. If you ever here with my synths.
Ah, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of